can be today. Wow, this is really high. Let's get to our...
Welcome back.
Welcome back. This is a
Episode
continuing
2.
saga.
Yes, it is.
There might be a trilogy. Who knows? Today we're going to talk about 3 things. About some spring things.
Right.
Our definitive ranking of top 5 Marvel characters.
Love Marvel.
And then the third thing is living with purpose in the midst of pain.
Yeah, it's good.
What's happening this last week?
Yeah. I mean, the weather turned nice. Snow.
It has been
So I will tell you,
beautiful.
I love snow. When March hits, it needs to be over. And it was. It's like the switch flipped.
You can thank
It's gotten
global
really
warming
nice.
to that, right?
Whatever. I got to get outside. I went fishing. I went down to the Mohican
Did
State
you
Park.
catch anything?
Not a thing.
Oh.
There was nothing. Like, we thought maybe with the water would be warming up.
This isn't like fly fishing or something like that, right?
I'm not.
I'm not really much of a fisher person, so I don't really know.
have the ability to
I'm
fly
a fisher
fish.
of men.
So, way to go. Me too. I have a worm on a hook that I throw out there because trout like that. So I was fishing for trout.
Okay.
And usually they start hitting in early spring, but it was too cold. There was icicles on the tree as I waded down through the water.
I went out today and I dusted off the motorcycle.
I saw that.
And
The motorcycle was parked outside
I
the
was,
front doors of the
it's
church.
always an amazing feeling when you open up the garage door
Yeah.
and you're like, I really hope it just turns over,
Yeah.
and it just turns over.
started
It's like,
right
and I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah,
glorious.
it's nice. I miss a
So
motorcycle.
I got to go out riding today, and it was quite an awesome
It's
experience.
beautiful.
So it is beautiful. I want to move into a segment of our definitive rankings of what we would consider our top 5 Marvel characters. And the reason I think this is something that's on my mind right now is because I just got done watching WandaVision.
Yeah, me too.
WandaVision.
I'm just telling you, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is that the right lingo?
Yeah,
is
sure.
amazing. I've never experienced anything like that in terms of movie watching, being entertained. It's just tremendous.
And I think that there are some characters that are cooler and more powerful than others.
Sure.
So we'll start at 1.
Okay.
All right, so do you want to do this like on like a 3, 2, 1 kind of thing,
And
or
both say
like
it at the same time? Yeah, go ahead. And then we'll explain it. Let's do it. You
All
got
right.
it down.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1. Tony
Captain
Stark.
American.
That is hilarious that you are.
Now listen. I would actually put those 1 and 2. So I would say Captain America and Iron Man.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm a traditionalist in this. They started the thing. They're both gone now. I mean, they're just the 2 most powerful characters I absolutely love.
Now, I know that there's a lot of debate. Like, I don't think Tony Stark is actually the most powerful superhero in the Marvel universe. But I personally, for me, I love his character. And I think he's someone that innovates, and his storyline is so great that it's like this redemptive thing that he walks through, being the playboy and like and then he turns into this like amazing, like, I'm sacrificing my life for all of humanity kind of idea.
Captain America helped transform.
Yeah,
the 2
whatever.
characters need each other.
You know what?
They need each other.
You know what? Captain America ain't even gonna make my top 5.
Oh my
I'm telling
gosh.
you right now.
He's the best by far. First of all, he's the first Avenger.
Yeah.
You can't leave him out of the top 5. He's the first Avenger.
Watch me. I'm gonna
Don't
do it.
Those 2 needed each other. Without each other, they're not the characters that they are. It's amazing.
I can agree with that, but I still don't
So if
like
you don't
Captain
make
America.
Captain America your number 2, I don't know what to tell you. He needs help.
My number 2 is going to be a little bit of a switch, and it's just because, once again, I loved the movie. But Black Panther, I really liked his character. I think that Chadwick Boseman was like an amazing actor, and it's really sad that he's passed away now.
Yeah.
But I think that whole movie was so different than all the other Marvel movies. It was a different approach. It was like it was just fun to watch that character grow, and all right, so we're just gonna move on to number 3 then.
Go number 3.
Okay.
I want to know what your number 3 is because I don't even know what mine is yet.
My number 3 is gonna have to be now coming from watching WandaVision. I'm putting Wanda up there in number 3 because, and this is a power ranking for me.
Well, she's probably the most powerful. Is
Yes,
she not?
I feel like they threw out some stuff in the WandaVision that was like basically like, hey, she was the only person that in Avengers Endgame where like Thanos was like, I'm about to die, and he like rains fire on all of his troops and everyone else just because he cannot beat Wanda.
Right.
So like, to me, I'm like, she's the most powerful.
Can I do a quick
everyone.
time out here?
Yeah.
When I watched WandaVision and I saw Vision and Wanda together, I'm like, those 2 could have beat Thanos if they'd have done the right thing.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Number 3 is actually the least powerful character in the Marvel Universe, and that would be Hawkeye.
Okay.
I love that guy. There's a line in I think it's Ultron, where Wanda's like, she's new and she's all freaked out. And he looks at her and goes, I'm fighting robots with a bow and arrow, and I was like, I love that guy.
Yeah, that is funny.
Courage. I love everything.
Because here I am picking Wanda as like the most powerful, and he's the one giving her the pep talk
true.
To be like, come on, let's fight.
But there's something about Hawkeye that I love, man.
So you've got Captain America, Tony Stark, Hawkeye. Yeah. This is sounding pretty much like the Avengers Assemble original here.
I might change here, but what do you have for 4?
So 4 for me, this was one of my favorite comic characters, and that's Spider-Man. And I love the
way they do it.
The way that they've brought back this new Spider-Man. He's just like, he's a kid. I love the fact that he's a kid. I love that he's dealing with the high school things of the awkward puberty stuff, and it's a fun character.
I agree. That's good 4. I'm gonna go ahead with 4. She's the most powerful. Is Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
She is the most powerful. She's the most powerful. I think more than Wanda even.
So we're down to 5.
Yep.
Our last person on the totem pole. It's literally a toss-up between 2 characters, and they can be hand in hand. Gosh, with Hulk, even though I really want to say Hulk. Thor.
I love both those guys. This is a terrible. I can't choose between all this. Because
I love Thor just because of the movies and what they created him to be. But Hulk is, he's the type of dude as you make him more angry, he just gets more powerful.
I'm gonna go ahead because I told you I would do this. Black Panther's my 5. I have to include him. Love what he brought to the table. In the movies.
Yeah.
I am too. Actually, my kids were really sad when they learned that Chadwick Boseman passed away.
Yeah.
Like we talked about a little bit.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. Marvel movies are so good. Those characters and then the people that the actual actors seem to have a place. Like we could have them to our house.
My kid wants to dress up like Black Panther, and it's a black actor.
Yeah.
Like that's just not seen necessarily. And
it's a movie that has almost all black characters and all that. And I didn't even think about that until that came up, and I'm like, I love it. I'm glad that took place, and I think Marvel has so many elements to it, including breaking the barrier of color and of female, hero.
Well, we do have some really good stuff too to talk about with how to live in your passion and how to deal with pain and sorrow kind of at the same time. You brought this concept to me just the other day, actually. And I loved it so much. I wanted to talk a little bit about it.
That we all experience like a passion, or like we're excited about doing this, or there's just a season of life that we're just loving where it's moving. And what usually happens is we experience some kind of disappointment, pain, something that happens in there, and it throws us out of where we were going or where God was taking us or what was happening. And I think we're misunderstanding that whole thing. Like we're not understanding our full call and our full what God has created us to be, because we're living in a manner of being too thin. We're not looking at the whole of our life experience, just part of it.
But I think that's a great concept, but I think that's really hard to do.
Understood. And I think that if you talk about it, if you teach about it, it helps, but the only way you can really experience this is to walk through it. Life as up and down, hills and valleys, right? You have the high, you have the low.
We talk about seasons, I guess,
right.
And, stuff
Rick
like that.
Warren said something really interesting. He and his wife have been through a lot. She's had cancer. They've lost their son to suicide. And they talk about, he says, I don't think it's hills and valleys anymore. He said, I think that it's like a railroad track. It's like this sense of I'm walking in my purpose, like my joy. It's awesome. But running parallel with that is also pain. And the only way for me to accomplish what God's called me to be is to experience both of those and understand that both of them take you where you're going to go, if that makes sense. You can even take it further. Like, so if you would take the picture of our life being like a train or locomotive heading down the track, you can't run on just one track. You have to have both of them there. And I would say if all you're looking for is that joy track, what you're really looking for is happiness. And happiness is this it's an external factor in your life, but it's thin until you bring the happiness part along with the pain part. And in that, then you have to decide who you're going to be, what track you're going to focus on, but you're running down both of them. And joy is this sense that there's something greater in the midst of that. If we would go back to Marvel for just a second, all the Marvel characters, in order for them to become who they were, have a story of pain in their life. Yeah. And if you watch the movies, ongoing pain that's happening. And it's developing them. WandaVision was all about that.
Yeah, that was all about the pain that she's dealing with of loss of vision.
And so it's this sense of there's There's the purpose and there's the pain running together. There's the joy, there's the sorrow running together. And then that's what the essence of a deep, rich life is about. There was the one quote that Vision had that was just blew me away, which is, what is grief if not love enduring? What is grief if not love enduring?
If not love enduring.
Meaning that love continues to go. I can't. Yeah. Grief is a product of the fact that I got to love so much, and so this rich experience runs together. But we don't want it that way. Mm-hmm. It's really hard. But that's the nature of the world we live in.
Yeah, I'm even thinking. I'm just sitting here like I'm stuck on WandaVision now because I'm like all this Marvel stuff. But that whole like spoilers in 3, 2, 1. No, the whole show is based on her recreating Vision and living in this happiness, like the sitcom eras of like where everything resolves fun and happy, and she wasn't dealing with the sorrow and the grief side of things.
If I go back there for a second, I watched the first half of the first WandaVision. I shut it off and didn't go back for weeks until Phil said it's really good. I'm like, really? It was awful. But it's tremendous how they develop it. The Apostle Paul in Romans is talking about the goodness of God and how we're saved and those kind of things. And then he says, not only so, meaning not only this good stuff, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, character hope, and hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who's been given to us. I understand that verse now much better than I used to, and I'm still growing in it. Think about the Beatitudes when Jesus said, "Blessed are," right? Mm-hmm. Blessed are those who mourn, right? He's talking about the hard stuff, but then good things come because.
Which, by the way, I've always taken it like, "Blessed are those who mourn." I'm like, I don't want to be around them.
Right.
Like that's just the way I think about things.
But it's the preparation for the other side. So the sorrow brings the joy. Real practically speaking, if you want food to taste really good, fast for a couple days. Don't eat anything. Or eat broccoli for 2 days. Yep. And I think sometimes, Phil, as Christians, we're not very good at this. Mm-hmm. We just want the blessing side. We just want the good story. Like, I'm following Jesus. I've been praying, man, he's blessing me today. My life's better because I had a quiet time or a devotion. When God's saying, I want you to experience the richness, And what do we joy in? I mean, Easter's coming. We go crazy on that. Why? It's the death of Jesus. It's all the pain that he paid so that there's no resurrection
it's looking
without
to the grave.
Death.
You got to look at the grave before you can.
We could make a list of 100 things. No resurrection, without the death, right? Food doesn't taste good if all you do is eat and you're completely a glutton.
But that's so hard, and especially for me, like my personality is someone that doesn't necessarily want to live in the sorrows or the pain or things. I do everything I can to fight to get away from those things. When I'm the most content is when I've just cried my eyes out over something that like just caught up to me, and then all of a sudden there's just this peace that overwhelms me because I'm like, I lamented that, I worked through that. But I hate getting to those moments. Like I will do anything I can to push those moments away.
I'll leave you with a final thought that's from Rick Warren, because he started all this with me with the train tracks and so forth. He said, yes, they run together, parallel lines in our life. But he said an important thing is to then choose which track you're really going to focus on, right? So if you focus on the sorrow and the heartbreak all the time, life is really tough and you down. But if you choose to focus more on the joy that's there, the good things that are there, it helps determine one of those tracks has to win out over the other. Right? And so he said it's important to focus on the joy side or the purpose side. And by the way, we're never going to find this rich life until we finally realize that our lives, we exist for the glory of God and the glory of God only. And we are in a training mission. I'm going to live 60, 80, 100 years, and then I'm going to be with God for all eternity. And right now is learning to experience that that I exist for the glory of God. And that's then I can move forward once I know that.
Yeah. Well, it's good stuff. Thank you for joining us this week. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give a little hint into next time we get together. I'm going to ask you your top 5 villains.
Ooh.
So I'm going to give you some time to think about that, because I know the heroes was a little easier to think about.
Villain right now.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, you're going to have to come back next time for the number 1 villain. All right, thanks, guys. See you later.